All right, we're live. Josh, thanks so much for being here with me today.
It's a pleasure, James. Looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Right on. So, Josh Lane, you're the co founder of FerebeeLane. I would really love to kind of dive right into you guys have an amazing story. You've been going at it for a long time. And I know you guys have a big focus on like luxury brands and really helping nurture those brands and identifying audiences. But I'm really curious, like, how did you guys start? Did you start out with that intention that you'd be a luxury branding expert? Or what was kind of the foundation that kind of ignited the agency?
I wish we had that forethought going into it, but so this is our 21st year. And so my business partner and I, we met at a previous agency and great agency. Short version of the long story is they got acquired by a holding company. And when we were there, and we decided one day that we had talked about, he's a writer by trade. I'm an account person by trade, share a sensibility for strategy. And we really wanted to start our own thing. We believed that we could make the proper decisions to grow an agency. We thought we had a perspective because we worked together. And we were fortunate enough in five to start the agency with a single client. And my business partner is from North Carolina, kind of furniture country. And so he'd worked with a lot of premium furniture brands. And so that was our very first client to where we had that to start with. That then went to some referrals. So to Blackberry Farm, which is one of the world's most beloved small luxury hotels in Knoxville, Tennessee. They've been a client for 19 years. And we just kind of went along working with them. And then the last one I'll mention is, gosh, in year two, I got an email from an individual who I never met, but he happened to be the brother-in-law of my best friend at the time. And he worked at Le Creuset Cookware, which is the French cast iron kind of colorful cookware. And he said, can we do a project together? And so we did a project together. And again, 19 years later, they are still a client. And that was really the foundation for starting to understand kind of premium and luxury brands were those two core, really three core clients, two of those who are still with us today.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you had that ignite that started it with a few clients. That was basically your starter seed. And then it just sounds like it just fostered and grew from there as you kind of got more referrals, more networks, more opportunities in that
Yeah.
specific.
And again, I'll be real honest about it. I wish in, I'll say, years 3 through 10, we had a definitive plan about let's be a premium luxury brand agency. Those years were about let's try to reinvest in the agency. Let's try to survive. Let's try to keep going. But I would say around year 10, we started to get a lot of momentum, and I believe strongly in agency differentiation about know who you are and what you do really well. And at that point, that was really the catalyst of us saying, again, about 8 to 10 years ago, we are a premium luxury brand agency because now we're 40 people. At that time, we were probably 25. And we just said, we can't be everything to everybody. Nobody's going to believe us. But what
100%.
will they believe that we do well? And that was really the catalyst behind it and really shaped everything we've been doing for the past 6, 7 years.
Yeah, especially if you have the confidence and the track record of doing it for those types of brands, that's your kind of foundation you're building on. But I always think it's an interesting lesson to always reiterate because it's so hard, especially for agencies and a service-based business where you don't want to say no to any type of business. And you want to take on everything and you want to do every service, but you have to find, I think it's always important to find that balance between what do you service best? Like what is your specialty that you deliver best and who do you serve best? What in what industry, what vertical, and figuring that out is not always easy thing to do. But I think it comes
No.
in a mix of like opportunity that
Yep.
walks through your door and what you kind of go out can hunt and go find and make sense for you as a business.
I 100% agree with you. And we had a colleague, kind of a mentor at one point said, Josh, you need to decide what are the type of people that you want to work with? What's the type of work that you want to do? And how do you want to get paid? And you don't sacrifice one of those. Go after all three of those. What are the categories that you've earned the right? And that's we've done a lot of, and we still do a lot of luxury hospitality, hotels, and that is because of the credibility of Blackberry Farm. Because they know if we've worked at Blackberry Farm for 18, 19 years, that we've got credibility and experience and knowledge that few others have, and how do we lean into that? But you're right. In the early years, it was, man, it was hard to say no to things, and we regretted some of the things that we said yes to as a result.
Especially you were kind of building that right before 2008 financial
Yeah.
collapse, which is had been a difficult time for all industries and all types of businesses. So that I'm sure that was presented all kinds of unique challenges in of itself outside of just what you can normally control.
Well, it did. We were fortunate that Le Creuset was privately owned, so they could keep reinvesting in some of our other clients. But I will also say, as growing an agency, applied Matt and I did kind of our own personal finance philosophy to it. Because when we started the agency, not to go back, but when we started the agency, Matt had a child who was 30 months old and one who was not yet born and around. My wife and I had one who was a daughter who was 22 months old, and we had a son who was 4 months old. And my wife just left her pharmaceutical sales job, and we had to make payroll. We could not fail because there were so many people depending upon us, and that's kind of how we ran the business that we wanted to. And that's part of the value of being independent is having the freedom of the choice and to run the business in the way that you could have that freedom of choice.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to set it up the way you want to, and you build
Yeah,
it the way you want, and you don't cut corners. You don't add on things that are unnecessary. Because I think where a lot of agencies run into a problem when they do get big accounts is they blow up the expense sheet a little bit too much, and then they put themselves in a tough corner where they can't maintain that if there's things that are outside of their control that they can't manage. Is a really tough situation. Another thing that I think is really fascinating and amazing that you guys have done is maintain clients for 15, 19 plus years. Walk me through of like how does an agency like yourselves do that? Because we see a lot of turnover in the agency
yeah.
space. There's obviously a lot of brands they want results, they don't give them, they keep hunting for the next agency, the next service, the next provider. But what have you found? Like, how have you guys built your agency and culture around of like maintaining clients? Because retention is key to long-term success.
100%. And the thing about it is, and we are at a crossroads now, but I'll explain to how we have done it in the past. And I mean, ultimately, in my opinion, this is a relationship game. This is all about building relationships with people and how do I help them solve problems? How do I help them? And whether that could be a market problem, that could be getting a boss off their back that's causing them problems. How do I help them in that? We articulated an agency philosophy called All We Can with All We Have. And we tell clients, and we try to live it throughout that when a client selects FerebeeLane, they are trusting us with whatever objective they have. They are trusting us with a significant amount of money, and they are trusting us with their own personal relationship and career. And they deserve from us everything that we could possibly give them to serve them. Now, there has to be fair compensation and appropriate scope, and we'll never allow ourselves to be abused. But we believe that we have to earn the right to be called a partner. And that goes by we want our clients to know that we actually care about them. FerebeeLane is our favorite client because that is ours, but we got to care about clients going through that. And I think that closeness and that philosophy is why. Well, here's the other thing. The work also has to work. It's not
Yeah,
just about being kind and nice. The work has
right.
to work. But if you have both, I do think clients want great work and they want great relationships with people who understand business. And that's what I think that we've done really well. The crossroads now that we are at 40 people, Matt and I don't touch every client. We are not on every single call. And training about how do you spread the FerebeeLane way about I am now 30 years in this business. And we have some incredibly talented young professionals who are the age of my daughter, and they don't have the experience that I have. And how do you foster that and how do you train that? And that's the challenge of a growing agency that you're trying to scale. That's honestly part of the fun of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That transfer of knowledge, I think, is key, especially in this day and age where so many people are using and leveraging AI to do a lot of entry level jobs and tasks. That if you don't have those entry level people in 10, 20 years, you're not going to foster a team that can take
Right.
over. and manage things where so you can go focus on your business or on agency growth and working on the business rather in the business. And you have to transfer that knowledge down. So how were you guys able to build and do that? Was it through systems and processes? Was it instilling a type of culture and mindset with kind of that next generation that you guys fostered? What's been some of your approaches for raising
So
up the next talent?
it's formal and informal. And so we have articulated kind of the FerebeeLane way, kind of the 10 pillars of account management. And we want you to do it in your own voice. We want you to be human. We want you to have your own personality, but you need to know what it means here. We do formal training. We're a member of the 4As and they've got a lot of formal training. We do a lot of role modeling as well. And we'll have conversations with individuals. And I will suggest to them, you need to think about before you send that email or before you make that call, and hopefully we're still making phone calls and not just texts or messages to clients and other things, but you need to anticipate what do they need to hear in order to solve the problem and how do they need to hear it? Because every individual is different. Some may have a little more anxiety and be a little more stressed out. Some may be laid back. How do they need to hear it? Not just the way that you want to deliver it, be empathetic towards somebody else. And so we talk about that a lot. We talk about it every Monday at our Monday morning agency meeting about how we relate. And I'm always encouraging people at this idea about curiosity and continuous improvement, getting better every single day. That is, we can help through that formal training, but it's so much upon your own desire in order to do it. And so we are searching for those individuals that we think have that spark and that desire to. And the last thing I'll say in this part of it is it's a difference of whether you consider this a job or a career. If it's a career, you're always going to work at it. If it's a job, it's just a paycheck, and you're probably not going to be happy here or many other places.
Yeah, you're not going to last in the industry if you just look at it as a job to check in, check out. It's not going to be a long term thing. It can't be with that type of attitude. So I think attitude it takes initiative of the staff as well, right? Of your
Yeah,
team, like they have to take initiative. I remember when I was starting out in my career, I had to take the initiative of showing up. Like availability is the best ability. Oftentimes, it's like it's showing up consistently, learning from others, and I think that's one of the best values that a young person can have is just showing up and being available and being open minded to learn from the people above you. That's where you get so much growth and lessons from is just working hand in hand. But I love the role model idea of, or not the role model, the role playing model of training because it gives people real like reps, live reps. It's like practice. We were just talking about Indiana University winning a
yeah,
national championship, right? Like a football team does a lot of reps. They have 5, 6 days of practice before game day on Sunday where they have to perform. But that's all based on all the reps and all the training that they did behind the scenes. And I think it's tough for small independent agencies, I think, to build in those reps because sometimes you're behind, you're always needing to work. It's kind of throw in. I've been in that situation, throw in the fire, just figure it out. But that role playing type of model, I think, is a great idea for agencies to employ. We do something similar for our paid advertising strategies where we'll set up mock campaigns, set up mock campaigns,
great idea.
a full brief, like completely fake that we make up a full fake brief and plan and strategy. And then we have our team go set it all up, right? So they get role play type of reps in before they go live on actually playing with real, because we're playing with real, we're not
Right.
playing, but we're working with people's real money, brands, real advertising dollars. And it's like, you cannot mess those up. That's people are entrusting you with those, which I think is the foundation of like how you get repeat businesses. Do you do what you say you're going to do? And then do you deliver on that?
Absolutely. And that's such a valuable way, the way that you're talking about to do that. And it could be simple ways. We will have young account people and young creatives present to the agency on a
Yep.
Monday morning a new campaign. And again, it is fine. Make a mistake, make an error. It's a safe environment. Be willing to take feedback and learn from it. And because you're right, it is the reps that when you get in that situation, I mean, I will still walk into a situation occasionally that maybe I have never been in before, but I have enough reps in other situations that I know how to react. That's through experience and wisdom and the faster I can pass that along and give individuals a foundation to be able to react the right way in an unfamiliar situation, then the more successful we're going to be as an agency. The more we'll be able to scale and the more enjoyable place will be to work for all these individuals.
Yep. 100%. Just looking back kind of over your career and building the agency and all the work you guys have done, what do you think are some of the underlying principles that still apply today that you've been always been doing for brands? And what do you think are some new things that you're doing now or recommending or are in your pitch decks or are things you're working on with your big clients that you weren't doing a few years ago? That's kind of this balance of like what's new and emerging with what are the staples and principles all brands need to employ?
Jen, it's a great question. So in the beginning, which in what is now is we are strategy led. That has never changed and that will never change, no matter what the tools are. And the quickest way that we articulate that is, and there's a strategist that I think very highly about Australia, Mark Pollard, and he says strategy is informed opinion on how to win. And whatever that situation is, it can't just be an opinion, it has to be informed. And so everything we do, whether it's brand strategy, whether it's media strategy, whether it's creative strategy, it is all based off of what is the logic and the rationale and what is relevant, differentiating, and authentic to that brand and to the consumers we're trying to speak to. Now, what has evolved over time, certainly tools like AI and other things have evolved, but from our work, it is going beyond just in the beginning, kind of the traditional advertising and marketing to where we are doing a lot of operational consulting because what we believe is first and foremost, whatever your brand stands for, and it needs to stand for something, then the consumer has to experience it in the interactions with their brand. If it's a hotel, when they're on property, or pre visit or post visit. And we will go through amenity design. We will work with architects and interior designers on how to create a brand forward design. So, whatever we were saying in advertising and marketing, they experience that when they're on property. And honestly, when they're on property, they should be able to, even if they don't articulate it in the exact words, they should be able to articulate what is different about this Ritz Carlton than in this St. Regis or this Four Seasons. It's a different feeling, and it should be, and you should be able to articulate. So that is getting into the operational. We call it guest experience design. That has been a new territory for 5 years, but it is incredibly rewarding to make sure that again, what you were saying in the marketplace is what people experience when they interact with it.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes so much sense. Yeah. So really merging the marketing messaging with the experience
Yep.
fundamentally is going to change and transform how consumers, because if you, again, that kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier that we try to do as agencies for our brands, right? Is the build trust, we need to say what we're going to do and then actually deliver on it. And absolutely, brands need to do the same thing. So you're taking that marketing strategy and then employing it and talking to and infusing that into their guest relations team, to their concierge team, to make sure that what's marketing is going all the way through to that.
All the way through. And we'll do it if it's not hotel hospitality and it's with retail or CPG. What is the experience like on shelf? How are your retailers? What can we arm your retailers with so they are speaking the right language about your brand? Le Creuset cookware is very different than stove or stainless sides, all clad. You need to feed them the language to talk about and how to merchandise it and how to reference it in comparison. So people who are not on your payroll as a brand are speaking your language and they understand and they can help sell it. And so it's full circle. While we love doing TV and print and wonderful digital and everything else, it is seeing kind of internal alignment on the brand side and culture education and helping these incredibly intelligent people clearly articulate what is different and uniquely valuable about their brand and then how that expresses in any way you can possibly imagine. And that's where I think we also this goes to your question earlier about retention. Not all agencies think like this. That has to where brands don't look at us simply as an advertising partner. We are a brand partner who can do advertising. And that's certainly been a pivot over the past 6, 7 years for us.
Yeah, you're being more deeply invested and connected into everything they do beyond just the marketing execution. Because I think that's where a lot of agencies struggle is they talk about strategy, but really what they're doing is tactical execution. And there's a big difference between we just set up an ad on here or we just set up some social media content on there versus having a fully integrated strategy and plan. But I think those are hard. Sometimes they get just blended. They get blended together and people think they're doing strategy when they're really just doing tactical execution.
It is a continual education, and that is part of the education of the younger folks coming into our agency. It's actually easier with those that are coming out of college into our agency. It is harder when we are recruiting folks that have been in other agency environments and have done it a different way. And I've had conversations to where very respectful to say, I want you to bring you and your personality because I like your personality. I think you're kind of our people, but I need you to forget a lot about what you learned at that other agency because they don't do it how we do it. And I'm sure there are some things that we can learn. We can always learn, but you need to understand how we do it and how we look at it because that's what your colleagues expect as well as your clients expect.
Yeah. It's hard to unravel,
Yeah.
things that you learn that you think you're doing right before, and no doubt we've had the same experience of the interns that we could grow into a full-time employee and raise up. Those turn out to be some of the best employees and team members because they're folding integrated into everything that you do from start to finish, and that's all they've been exposed
Yeah,
to.
I'm
It's been really
biased
helpful.
because that's how I got my first job as an
Me too.
intern.
Yep.
So
Likewise.
I am definitely biased to the power of having an internship or two on your resume.
Yeah, extremely valuable for anybody young starting out is to get an internship to really feel and get some live experience, get those live reps, especially in an internship. There's like very low risk. It's a good entry level way to start the journey. Talk to me a bit about just kind of your as leadership style. So that, you and your co-founder have started this and built this all up. But what's been your guys' approach to kind of leadership strategies between you two and kind of growing the agencies throughout the year?
So I think we've gotten much better about being a leader. I mean, if I'm just completely honest, now we're 21 years in, we are certainly much better leaders now than we were 15 years ago.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
again to the reps
Experience will
and
help.
to
Yeah.
the
Or time.
experience will absolutely help and perspective going back. But I mean, it is. We believe that we have to make this a great place for people to work. We also believe that we need to find the right people to work here and people who are so part of the leadership style is clearly communicating them. So we just had our all agency meeting. We always do in the first select meeting at the first 2 weeks of January. And we lay out what the year is going to be. And here's what our objectives are. We'll share some financial information. And we also say, how are we going to get there? And a lot of it is, and I mentioned this earlier, part of my leadership style is modeling. And so it is, I try to learn every single day. I try to get better every single day. And I will tell the agency, this is how I am doing it. And this is what I am doing. I will share this stuff with you. You do it your way if you want to. But this is what we have to do because the only way that FerebeeLane is going to reach its fullest potential is if we all individually try to reach our fullest potential at that stage of life. And again, we've got to be collaborative in it. We are pushing people in a positive way a little bit harder this year, but we thematically say that this is the year that you need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So you need to learn new things. You need to challenge an opinion, but make sure that you have an informed challenge to that opinion and push yourselves in different ways. And so we try to be very clear. We try to be very empathetic. We try to be very transparent. And when I say clear too, it is also this is what the expectation is. Now at the same time, we have to show what the rewards are for being at this expectation. We have to grow as an agency in order to give people opportunities. And so it's a circular process, but I think I'll sum it up as there is a great ambition among Matt and I to see what we can become as an agency. And part of the strategy is to try to push that ambition out to everybody that works for us that they feel, because who does not want to work at an exciting place that is doing something unique and has great opportunity, but you know that you have to be a part of that, grabbing a hold of that opportunity. That's the value of being an agency our size and independent is you can make a difference. And so
100%.
there is some motivational conversation like that, but it's all true. It's all 100% accurate.
Yeah. Just from speaking from my own experience, which I really like, don't like project on anybody else, but I love that. When I was starting out and when I was young and getting into the agency space, and when we started our first media buying agency, is that we wanted to be pushed and motivated and seek and strive for something bigger and better than just our individual jobs that you're kind of maybe it's because I always played sports growing up, and I had this kind of always had this team mentality and mindset. Is that I just felt like we're on a team. It's us first, to go conquer this specific objective. That I think when leaders bring people along, it's about bringing along everybody and letting them know the why behind the what. It's like, yes, this is what we do, but this is why we're doing it and what it means for you. Is that's what I've found is like one of the best strategies for really like helping motivate and bring people to that kind of next horizon of where they can go because they want to reach their I think most people want to reach their full potential as well, and they only can do that sometimes if they're motivated or encouraged
Yeah.
or they see where their leaders pulling them to and why they're doing it.
And if you do that, if you have that perspective and we share that together clearly, you can quickly identify those who are best case lost and don't know what they should be doing, and you can redirect them, or those who just aren't a fit here. And you can compassionately have that conversation and help them in whatever way. But again, the more clarity we can bring to what we are trying to achieve and what's expected here and what we give back, the better it is for everybody. The more
Yeah.
exciting it is for everybody.
Yeah, and that's why I think everybody likes to talk about communication. Like, oh, keep up the communication. Make sure
Yeah.
you communicate. But it's like, what does that fundamentally mean? I think it fundamentally means like communicate the truth, be honest, provide the expectations, tell your team what you expect out of them and what it means for us to all succeed together. Like you in your individual role and us collectively as a team. Like to me, that is communicating, is just being truthful and honest and straightforward.
It is amazing to me, and it's not just in this industry, but we are all paid to be great communicators. Many of us can be really poor communicators within our own organizations and agencies because we don't have that clarity, because we don't say exactly what we mean. Again, it doesn't mean you've got to be a jerk. You can say it in a way that motivates and that's compassionate, but it's be clear about what you mean and what you expect and be consistent. Consistency is the other thing. You can't change from one to another. And so it is, I completely agree with you. I think it is, people want to know where the agency is going, the role that they can play. And if you think they're not playing the right role, then they want to know that. And I've told them, I want to know if you don't think I'm giving you the support that you need as well. It is a two-way street.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why we always talk about having a screen door, is that it's gotta
Yeah.
be, it's not all one way or the other, but it's
Yeah.
gotta be kind of meaning that. But one person has to lead. There's gotta be one direction that's going. But I think the other thing this has been a challenge for me over throughout my career that I've done, that I've recognized after looking back, but is the pivots, is changing without the explanation or the why. I think is a big challenge that I always run into because I think as I'm thinking 10 steps ahead and then not relaying that back down is that every pivot causes more kind of dysfunction because that's changing the goalpost or it's changing what we're doing or something that you were just working on is no longer relevant. Now I need you to do something else. I think that's always been a challenge, especially for small agencies that I've experienced.
This, the way that I look at it all is you're correct about that. This to me is why I'm still in this business. It is, I love advertising and marketing. I love trying to figure out how to scale and grow this agency. And what we did really well at 20, how do we do it really, really well or with better people, more experienced people, maybe better tools at 40? And as we're competing against agencies that are 100, 200, 300 people, how do we continue to do it as we scale and grow? And if they have figured out how to get to 300 people, why can't we? And now we're not driven by a number, but that is part of the fun of this business is growing the business. And it is not just growing. And I will, you're talking about pivoting and goalposts. I will clearly state to the agency too, we don't want to grow just for the ego of myself and Matt. We want to grow because everybody in this room wants an opportunity to grow. They want to be able to, and I want to foster the environment to where they don't have to leave to go find another opportunity because we are building and bringing those opportunities to them to grow. And so again, it gets back to that clear communication, and it gets back to finding ambitious people who are also curious that want to see ultimately how good they can be. Again, in the most collaborative way I can mention it. And again, I will also tell folks if you follow along with us and you have that ambition and curiosity, And I hope that you stay here forever. The likelihood is most people will not stay at the same agency or any organization forever. You will be so well off when you go to that next job. You will be so well prepared. You will do such a great job and you'll be so incredibly valuable. So everything that we're asking of you for the agency, it also serves you as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. Because you're investing into them just as much as they're investing into the job and the company, right? You're investing into them time and training and resources to continue to develop and grow new skill sets, especially for somebody young who's starting out or in the middle of their career. They increase in their value in accordance, I think, to their skill set. As the greater skills you have, the greater value you are to other businesses. But I would like to talk more a bit about you mentioned growth and growing an agency and stuff. Something I wanted to talk to you about is I think there's kind of like three big ways. There might be, I'm sure there's more of like growing an agency, but curious how you guys found is the best way to grow. Is I see it kind of as horizontally offering more services to an existing client base so that you can do more for them. And then more services means more revenue, more opportunities, all of that. And then there's just boots to the ground, sales, knocking on doors, acquiring more, and then there's three, there's acquisitions where you can go acquire other agencies, similar agencies, or adjacent complementary service agencies and grow through acquisitions. What have you guys found as kind of the best way for you guys to grow and you guys kind of see as the growth opportunities in the future?
So for our perspective, the easiest way to grow is the organic growth with existing clients, whether that's adding new services, whether that's making them aware of things that we can do that maybe they didn't know that we did when they've been with, again, we've had clients for a long time and maybe I've not always done a great job as some of our longtime clients of talking about what we can now do that maybe we didn't do 10 years ago. But some of the biggest opportunities are in the acquisition of new clients. And I look at it as, I don't know that I have a best way. I look at it as there are 3 or 4 different levers that I'm always trying to pull at one time. And so even though we have an internal PR department, we have hired a PR agency out in New York that specializes only in advertising agencies. And so we are trying to get press in the trade publications, whether they are the trade publications for luxury hotels and other hospitality and home goods, or whether it's the advertising trade press, to get third party credibility to write about us. We are also having conversations with search consultants, making them aware of what we do really well. So when an opportunity comes along, that maybe we can be on their short list. We are also, and this is what my primary responsibility is we also are targeting. So we do a lot of stuff in the kitchen and in the home from a premium goods standpoint. Where else should we be that we are not? So we do a lot of cookware. We do a lot of premium small appliances. We do not yet do any major appliances. So Wolf, Thermador, Viking, any of those. Why shouldn't we be doing that? So I'm looking at what is one step away from what we were doing to where we have legitimate credibility that can extend. And then what I am trying to do is I talk about the word valuable a lot of how do I make a connection with somebody and be of value to them, a brand leader, to where I'm not just saying next time you have a project, hey, call FerebeeLane. I'm trying to understand what I think might be their issue, read about what could be going on, and try to share with them and build a relationship. Because I also say I am in this for the long game. So because I'm a part owner, I'm not going anyplace. And
Yep.
so if it takes me 3 years to convert somebody who I want to work with, then so be it. It takes me 3 years. But if I got a pipeline, that'll happen. The last one I'll mention to you is, and this is tough for us. We are actively talking to agencies about acquisition. The reason why it's tough, and again, I'll be really, really frank, is I believe in total independence, and Matt and I are equal partners. And for 21 years now, we have to agree, and we've got a great relationship. Neither of us want to give up any equity in the company to acquire, and so that limits the agencies that we can acquire. But we are looking at either agencies that have category experience that we desire, or to your earlier point, maybe they've got either a different skill set or a deeper skill set than we do, and maybe one of our ancillary departments that they can come and build something that really hasn't gotten momentum yet. And so we're having those conversations. There's one that might happen, but it's a distraction
Sure. Yeah.
as well. And you've got to figure out, I'm always prioritizing where should my energy be spent right now in order to help grow the business. Between all that that I mentioned, we traditionally lean to we have to take care of our existing clients for the retention and for the growth. And then it is, can I build relationships and Matt build relationships with people who we want to work with? Because if we do acquire another agency, those are their relationships that I have. Somebody on my team has to try to get in there and build that relationship to hopefully retain them. And so it is, it's complex just in a, what is the right way to do it? And I do think sometimes people move too fast and they end up regretting the decisions that they made when it comes to an acquisition standpoint.
Yeah, waiting for the right timing. But what I love about what you said was that you so much you have focused on this long game type mentality. Like you said, like you're an owner, you're in it for the long run. And I think that allows you to give you the right perspective of timing. I think for where other people may kind of make decisions too fast or too early or not the right timing is that if you have a long game, you know that time's on your side because
Yeah.
you can wait for the right opportunity, relationship, all of those things to come to fruition. It's kind of similar to how you would pick out team members. You want to pick out businesses and companies that work best with what your values are, where your specialty is, and all of that. But I always
Yeah.
find that interesting how different agencies approach that type of strategy of growing, especially with where you're at.
Yeah. And I think it's so much about what is your own personal time horizon? Like I can tell you right now, there is no way. I'm 55. I've got at least 10 more years because I'm having so much fun. Maybe I have 15 years, and maybe between years 11 and 15, I slow down a little bit, but it's more about legacy and what can we pass on than it is maximizing. We do fine as an agency. It's not about
Sure.
maximizing the dollar because
Yep.
that's not what life is all about. We do want to get paid fairly and we do want to reward people, but it is about, will my daughter come into the business one day? Well, one of Matt's sons come into business one day. And that's so much more important to us than getting a 6 multiple versus a 4 multiple.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I love that. Yeah, focusing on legacy transition of like what's the bigger picture and bigger
yeah,
horizon. And that kind of answered my one of my questions is going to be was just like what keeps you motivated? What keeps you engaged in the business and the advertising marketing industry? And it sounds like that. It's like figuring out more solutions and then really building a legacy agency.
I mean, it's a puzzle. How do you put all the pieces together? So, I mean, I'm getting ready to go to London for an extended trip because we're looking at, we should have an office in London because that is one of the homes of premium luxury brands. And we have contacts there. Do we need it? No. Does it get people excited? Yeah, it does. Is it interesting to figure out how do we do that? How do we figure that out? We'll learn something regardless from it, no matter whether we actually start an office there or not. The relationships will be great, but it is continually, it goes back to always being curious, figuring out how it gets done. How do I make it happen? How does Matt make it happen? And challenging the team and opportunities they may not get any other place, which again is another retention tool. And it's interesting too that as an aside, that the London is also sending a signal to existing clients that we have and that we've got big horizons. We'll take care of you, but we want to continually get better about what we do, which will benefit our existing clients. And the comments that I get based on some of the posts I do on LinkedIn from existing clients, I never expected that ever whatsoever. And it is just, it's a really small retention tool with them, but it's had side benefits I didn't expect.
Yeah, amazing. Valuable touch points though is those connection
Yeah.
opportunities where you can stay connected with them. But what are you excited about just from a advertising marketing standpoint? What do you kind of see as next kind of like 2, 3, 4, 5 years, big opportunities that are going to hit?
I almost go counter to everybody. The easy answer is AI.
Right. Yeah.
My counter to that, which again, I am a advocate for AI as a tool, as a way to assist and help. But what I believe is we have to keep humanity in the relationships that we do and the work that we do. You can use AI as an efficiency tool. You can use AI as a research tool, but whether it is with clients or whether it's advising clients on how to use it. And again, especially in the premium luxury brand category where it's not all price and features and benefits, there's an emotional reason why people choose to do what they do with luxury brands. AI cannot replicate that. So we're always talking to clients about there is this idea of positive friction. AI will remove all friction and make everything seamless and efficient. But in the luxury category, you don't want that in every, you want to interact with the concierge or the maitre d', and you want to hear about the place. And that's a positive friction that you don't want to lose. And so that's one of the things that we're articulating and working with clients about is as we all go down the road of integrating AI, some agencies more than others, more than us, how do we still keep that idea of humanity and human emotion? Because it is humans talking to humans, and use AI where it is most valuable, but it cannot replace the human emotion, especially in the work that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. The taste, the feel, the
Yeah.
context, I don't think those are things that are going to be replaceable. And that's where we always talk about is what do humans do really well? What do machines
Yeah.
do really well? Machines are good at automating, crunching numbers, pumping out, large volumes of data and information. Humans are good at the context of the taste, the feel. What does the brand really need? What's the contextual situation we're in? What's the right experience that humans really want to feel and have. And I think you totally nailed it with like, especially the brands you work with of there's a different level of human interaction and connection that you want those brands to feel. And it's going to
Yeah.
be inauthentic if you go overuse something like AI with communication or chatbots or whatever else. Especially you want concierge service and all those things. I think human interaction would work a lot better. If you give yourself one piece of advice to your younger self when you started out in your career, when you started your agency, what do you think that advice would be?
James, it's a great question. I'll be honest. I think in my early years, I should have spoke up more. I should have voiced my opinion more when I was in my 20s going through. And that is, I had my head down in the work, doing the work, trying to prove I could do the work really, really well. And when I look back, I saw where, you know, my perspective was right. I should have risked a little bit of failure in that moment with my supervisor and spoke my mind because I had the relationship, and I did. And I try to encourage our young people to do that. My door is always open. Always talk to me. And again, that pivot happened for me once we started FerebeeLane 21 years ago because I had to put myself out there. I had put myself out there. But that it's something that my daughter is far more outspoken and confident than I ever was at 23 years old. But
You did a
that's
good job raising her then.
yes. I'll give credit to her mother. I'll give credit to her mother. But it is that's probably what I would in being curious, always trying to learn every day.
I could relate so much to that because I didn't want to ever speak out. I'm quite an introverted person. I'm not one to really like speak out, especially in public, crowded places. But I had my mentors early on in my career, always, every single meeting, they would always call me out and always make me ask a question, add something. But I think that's what it takes for a lot of people is just that motivation of like getting them involved and pushing them to, speak up. Because I always come from the opinion that everybody has a unique perspective and knowledge or understanding of something that you don't have. So that I think you, regardless of what age or who they are, like you could probably learn something from everybody. And that's just a great growth model is just to be put yourself out there and learn. It's again, it's getting the reps in of speaking up.
It's getting the reps in, and then I tell people too when it comes time to speak up, be informed, do the research, and again, it can be instinct, but have a reason why you're saying what you're saying. Don't just say it because you necessarily just feel that way. Again, when you're talking about a brand or talking about something else, do the work to be informed about it and have a perspective that you can back up. And again, we try to foster safe environments for younger folks to do that. And sometimes they'll come to me and say, what should I do? And then the easy question is, well, what do you think you should do? And then have a conversation about it.
Yep.
So
Do
I
the
can't solve all the
research.
problems. Yeah.
Yeah, do the research, do your due diligence, and come with solutions, not problems. That was another big one I learned early on in my career was if you have a problem or you don't know what to do, you come to me at least with three solutions to your one problem, and then we'll help figure it out because that gets people to brains thinking. You don't want to. It's the same thing with AI now. I think a lot of people are outsourcing the thinking and creativity and relying too much on a chatbot to give them an answer, whereas that's so much of the development is just thinking through problems and coming up with different solutions.
There is no truer answer than that. I mean, it is part of the fear is the decline of critical thinking
Yeah.
out there. And again, I will use AI to edit a post that I'm doing, but the way that I'll tell them, like, and I've got it set up as preferences. Do not rewrite this for me. I want you to be a critical editor. I want you to make suggestions on what you think and force me to rewrite it. Do not rewrite it for me because then I will never learn myself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that and research. I love it for just like research
Yeah.
aggregating information, and then you can read through that real quick and then write or formulate something. But I think that really added back up to your as kind of like some of your brand ethos, right? Which is like get the most. You're going to say it better than me. I'm trying to remember what it was, but
Oh,
it's like get the most out of what you have, right?
yeah. Well, we can with all we have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like I think that that is a big part of it is where regardless of where you're at is get the most while you have. So awesome. I love that. Anything else you want to share or how people could connect with you or work with you?
They can find me at FerebeeLane.com. They can find me on LinkedIn very easily. Would love to connect with anybody and just talk. I mean, that's the other thing. We just love to talk. If it's another agency person, talk shop. I've learned a lot by talking to other agency people throughout because again, you can learn from anybody at all. And so I've really enjoyed this conversation, James. It's been wonderful.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks so much, Josh.
All right. Bye bye.